Housed my broke brother and his rude wife for 6 months, got him a great job, but then, still banned me from their new house. So I crashed their party to expose their ingratitude to our family. For context, I crashed my brother's housewarming party a couple of days ago, but trust me, I had my reasons for it. I was not invited to the event and I found it very insulting because I had let my brother and his wife stay with me for 6 months, 2 years ago. I am 32F, my brother is 30M, and my SIL is 29F. My brother, I will call him Joey, and my sister-in-law, I shall refer to her as Emma. So Joey and I were really close and I was his go-to for everything. Similarly, I also had a very close relationship with him and I loved my brother. I still do, that's certain. Otherwise, I would not even be entertaining the thought of apologizing to him for everything that happened, but honestly, I did not like Emma. It was not as if I had never tried to like her, I had really put a lot of effort into bringing myself to like, but it was just impossible. She was a bit too pretentious for my taste, I really don't like people like that. And she is the kind of person who always looks down on other people if their views don't completely align with her. I find it very annoying because I think we are all different people, and we should respect that and celebrate it instead of looking down on people who are not the exact same as us. Lucky for her and my brother, they were pretty similar and had a lot of common interests, but at least my brother did not think that it was necessary to look down on other people. For instance, both of them went to business school, where they met. They started dating when they were in college and got married at the age of 24, after dating for almost 5 years. By the time of the marriage, I already did not like Emma. They had been together for 5 years and we had met each other loads of times. But every time that we would meet, be it birthdays, family events, or holidays, she would always just say something very annoying and it would irk me. Most of the time, I was at the receiving end of her comments and that's what made it all the worse. The truth is that I live a very unconventional kind of lifestyle and I know that a lot of people might not like it or approve of it, but that's fine. I don't need their approval to live the way that I want to, and do the things that I choose to do. For some reason, she thinks that it's necessary to comment on the way that I live every time that we meet. For context, I am a voiceover artist and it's not a very conventional job, I'll give you that. But it pays really well, and I get a lot of offers and gigs as well, so I'm happy with my life. So far, I have done audiobooks, commercials, and a lot of other stuff. But Emma has got it into her head that I don't have a very stable career, and if I lose my voice, it's over for me. I don't know why she thinks that because I take really good care of my voice, I think that's a part of the job and that's my instrument. I think it's ridiculous of her to say things like that in a public setting about me, but she does not think that there is anything inappropriate about the way that she comments on my career. There's also the fact that I'm older than her, so I definitely have a little more experience than she does. She doesn't really know anything about the industry, but she believes that since she is the one who graduated from a really reputable business school, she has the right to comment on the way that I live my life. I didn't exactly go to college, to be honest. I wouldn't really say that I'm a dropout, but I went to community college. I wasn't really interested in academics, and I might have been a good student if I had studied. But I never bothered myself with academia, and I was more interested in other things, like sports and theater and stuff. You get the picture. I was not particularly studious and that reflected in my grades. So I ended up going to community college, and even there, my attendance was kind of on the lower end, but I managed to get through it somehow. As soon as I graduated from high school, I started working anyway, so I didn't really think that college was important for me because I was already earning. At that point, I was an intern in a company, but then I started auditioning for commercials. And one of the people on set really found my voice nice, which is how I landed my first gig. Since then, I have been in that industry and I'm pretty sure that I would know more about my career and the choices that I'm making, as opposed to her, who does not know anything about my line of work. She believes that I should go back to college, get a real degree from a real college, and then I can continue with my life so that at least, I have something to fall back on if anything ever goes wrong with my voice. And I probably would have appreciated the advice, had it not been coming from her. She always makes it a point to say these things to me when we are with family, and surrounded by other people, and she always says it in a very condescending tone that just screams, "I know better than you." Not only that, there are a couple of other things, also, that people might find unconventional about my lifestyle. Like I have made it a point that I'm never going to get married, and even though my family has tried to get me to at least consider that option, I have been very firm about it and I have told people that I'm not interested in marriage. I don't have anything against people who get married, it's just not my cup of tea. But I do have a daughter. And she was not an accident or the result of any previous relationship, I have adopted her. She is 5 years old, and I adopted her 5 years ago when she was just a baby. I'm sure that having a husband would probably make things easier for me, but I don't want one, and I don't need one. I'm quite happy with my life, and I have had a few relationships, but none of them have been serious, and I have made it very clear to everyone who I dated, that I'm not interested in marriage. Some of them stayed, and some of them left. But my lifestyle is not going to change because of any of that. And I don't think that motherhood has anything to do with being married or not. I wanted to be a mom and I felt ready to be one, which is why I adopted my daughter, because her biological mother would not be able to take care of her once she was born. My family took some time to get around it, but eventually, they accepted the fact that at this point, they just had to let me do whatever I wanted. There was no stopping me because I was not going to listen to anybody's opinions and change my life because of what they thought that I should do. Everybody had to come to terms with that, except for Emma, who still thought that she should be allowed to comment on my life and try to influence my decisions. After I had adopted my daughter for months, she kept telling me that I needed to start looking for a husband because otherwise, my life would get really hard. I found it very annoying, and I swear that I would have said something, had it not been for my brother. Literally, the only reason that I did not say anything to her at any point, it was because of him. I love my brother and I want him to be happy, so I kept my mouth shut. I had discussed Emma's behavior with him before, even when they were dating, and he had told me that she was just that way because she did not think there was anything offensive about the things that she said. She actually thought of herself as a good Samaritan and believed that she was doing good by giving people advice. Every time that I would get annoyed, I would tell Joey that I was going to snap at some point, and he kept begging me not to say anything to her because that would hurt her. Apparently, she was really sensitive and delicate about these things and he did not want any drama. And when I say that he would beg me, that's exactly what he would do. He would literally start tearing up and I can't stand that. I'm not the kind of person who likes to hear people cry, and I definitely don't like being the reason why they are crying. So he would start emotionally manipulating me to keep quiet, and I would just have to let Emma get away with all the rubbish that she said. This went on for years, until a couple of months ago, when they randomly stopped speaking to me at all, for no apparent reason. I found out the real reason that they stopped speaking to me later on, and I'll get to that in a while. But first, I'll just tell you guys a little about how I had let them live with me, when their business went south, 2 years ago. So both of them quit their jobs, around 2 years back, to start a business of their own. I did not think that it was a good move because they had only been working for a few years and they definitely did not have enough savings, so I tried to warn Joey about it, but he told me that they were the business majors here, so they knew what they were doing, and they were aware that they did not have enough savings, but they were pretty sure that they would be able to earn back the money in no time. So they were not worried about investing all their savings, or the limited amount that they did have, into their business. He dismissed my advice because he and his wife were overconfident, but of course, what I had warned them about was what ended up happening. They started an event management business but they barely had any connections or even any capital, and everyone knows that in an industry like that, you need connections to survive, or you'll go broke in no time. They did not pay heed to my very practical advice and believed that they knew everything that they had to know, so they went ahead in spite of my several warnings and drove their business to the ground in the first few months. When they realized that it was not going to work out for them, they showed up at my door, begging me to help them out and let them live with me because they would not be able to pay the rent, and at the rate that the business is going, it was very unlikely that they would be able to recover the money that they had invested in the business anytime soon. They also had to return the money that they had borrowed from their friends to set up the business because evidently, this was not going to work out. It was a very sad phase. They had to shut down shop and make a lot of sacrifices. I wanted to be there for my brother, so I told them that they could live with me because I knew that they would be able to afford rent at the time. They were very thankful for it, and Emma was on her best behavior for the 6 months that she lived with me. She knew that I was doing her a favor, in spite of the way that she had behaved with me in the past. So she did not make any stray remarks or comments for the next 6 months. Around 4 months in, Joey asked me to speak to a friend of mine and get him a job in a decent place because he was sick of working at the same old company. He had to take back his old job when he realized that the business wouldn't work out, and Emma had to do the same. But at least she was happy when she was working. She did not have any complaints as such. But he didn't like the company that he was working for, and he asked me to make some calls and arrange something for him since he knew that I was in touch with a lot of higher-ups. So I decided to do it for him, and I spoke to a friend of mine who ran his own fashion label and asked him to hire my brother since they were already looking for somebody to take over their accounting department. And he did it, which I was thankful for because my brother did not have the required number of years of experience for the job, but my friend did it as a favor to me. Great job, decent and great pay. So within 2 months, they had moved out of my house and were back on their own to eat. Joey promised me that he would never forget what I had done for him because this was a big deal, but apparently, that was not real because he seemed to have forgotten what I had done for him already. At least my brother took a year to forget about it, but Emma pretty much forgot the second that she had moved out of my house. She went back to making weird comments about me and being all condescending around me because now she did not need me anymore since her husband was working in a great place and was getting paid a lot. So there was no need for her to suck up to me and behave nicely with me, so she stopped. I should have known what kind of a snake she really was and never helped him in the first place, but I couldn't have done that to my brother. I could have easily shattered her illusion of them being big shots, all of a sudden, just because my brother was working in a good position, by telling her that I was the one who had even arranged the job for him, or he would still be relying on me. But I didn't do that because I didn't want to hurt Joey, and honestly, I'm too old for this kind of stupid and petty drama. She went back to saying weird crap about me, and I went back to trying to ignore her. She was just so ungrateful that I wanted to slap her across the face or at least tell her what I thought of her, but every time I would start looking pissed off, Joey would come to my side and try to calm me down. It was just very difficult for me to be in that position, and I don't know how I maintained my cool for so long. But then, about almost a year ago, I had a bit of a verbal spat with Emma. We were at my mom's house to celebrate her birthday, and like every other family event, I had taken my daughter with me. She was playing and walking around the room, and then she approached Emma. Emma started playing with her, and I was okay with it until that point, but then for no real reason, she started asking my daughter to tell me to go look for a dad for her because she would need one as she grew older. My daughter just looked very confused and didn't know what to say, and I got really upset because it's fine when she says weird stuff like that to me because I'm an adult, and the only reason I don't say anything to her is that I don't want to engage in her pettiness. But she can't say stuff like that to my daughter because that's just stupid and ridiculous. So I got really mad, and before Joey could even calm me down, I walked up to her and told her to keep her mouth shut and not speak to my daughter that way. I was already sick of her saying weird stuff like that to me. She was not going to write my daughter into this. I definitely had a tone, and I don't care about it. She kind of deserved that, and I had put up with enough of this nonsense for years now. I think what I did was necessary because, after that, she stopped speaking to me at all. And that was a very welcome change, honestly. She would not greet me, or even talk to me unless the situation demanded it. If there was any way to avoid interacting with me, she would take it that way. I was cool with it, even though Joey was very upset that we were not on speaking terms anymore. He tried to tell me to reconcile with Emma, but I was not going to do that. She had offended me and disrespected me way too many times for me to even consider that. So I told him that it was not happening, and he was upset for a while that the two of us would not be speaking anymore, but I was cool with it. She was the ungrateful one here. I had let her live in my house for 6 months when things were going badly for them, and yet, she did not have the courtesy to even be respectful and mindful of that. So she could continue not to speak to me, if that's what she wanted. It just showed me what kind of a person she was. The only person who even cared if we had a relationship or not was Joey, and I had told him that I had let a lot of things go for his sake, but that day, she had no right to drag my daughter into this. I continued to talk to my brother because I didn't have anything against him, and neither did he. But then, a few days ago, my mother called me to ask me what I was wearing to my brother's housewarming party. I had no idea what she was talking about because I had not received any invitation to such a party. And then, she told me that Joey and Emma had purchased a new house just a week ago, and that is the day that they sent out the invitations as well. They had probably told anyone not to tell me about it, but my mother had missed the memo and she ended up speaking to me about it. Because I had absolutely no clue that this was happening. And I was very offended that I had not been invited. Because just to jog your memory and not to sound repetitive, I had to literally let these people live in my house, under my roof, and use all of my facilities for free for 6 months 2 years ago. The least they could have done was invite me to the housewarming party. I even got my brother the position that he was working in right now, and that's how he was even able to buy that house, because of the money from the job that I had hooked him up with. I thought this was very disrespectful, and I called my brother up immediately to talk to him about it. When I called Joey and confronted him, he didn't even hesitate in telling me that I was not invited on purpose because Emma had apparently banned me from their new house. Because she did not get along with me, she did not want me to attend any of their special events, and that would include the housewarming party. Not only that, I would never be invited to any of their events in the future either, unless I chose to apologize, that is. I would not be invited to their anniversary parties, their birthdays, or anything else. I just couldn't even fathom how he could just say all of this to me without even the slightest hint of remorse in his voice. He didn't even sound guilty about it and was just saying it to me very casually, as it was very normal, and I should have been fine with it. I didn't even bother to identify what he was saying with a response. I had said very clearly to him that I was not going to apologize to his wife, no matter what. She was the one who had disrespected me, not just a few times, but every single time that she had a chance to. I had always let it go because I did not want to hurt him or cause drama between us, but this was just taking things way too far. I was really offended and hurt, so I thought about it for a week, and on the day of the party, I decided to crash their housewarming party and actually get my revenge this time. It was petty, and it was really mean of me, but I thought that it was necessary, at the time, because they were turning people against me. Otherwise, nobody from my family would have kept a secret this big from me, unless they had been telling people categorically not to tell me about it, and for that, they obviously had to paint me as the villain because I was pretty well liked by my relatives, and they had manipulated them against me. I showed up at their new house, after getting the address from my mother, and I made sure to arrive at a time when I knew that all the guests would be present. Everybody was pretty shocked to see me because they knew that I had not been invited, and it just confirmed my doubts, that they had been leading people to believe that I was the bad guy here. But I had come with proof of their ungratefulness towards me. I had printed out the emails that had been exchanged between my friend and I, which is how I managed to get my brother the job that he had now. And how I had kept a secret for such a long time, yet he had still not bothered to teach his wife not to disrespect me. You don't bite the hand that feeds you, that's just common sense. And once I got there, I drew attention to myself and started telling everybody about how they had been living with me for 6 months when their business flopped, and how I had even gotten my brother a better job than he had previously, so that he could earn more and have better hours. In spite of that, Emma had continued to disrespect me and do her very best to be condescending around me. But I had kept my mouth shut because I did not want to hurt my brother and cause a rift between us because I thought I was equally important to him. But since that was not the case, I did not think it was necessary for me to keep his secrets anymore. So I revealed everything that I knew, and everyone looked shocked. Emma looked the most upset about all of this. She turned to Joey immediately and asked him if what I was saying was true, even though there was no need for that because I already had the printouts of the emails to prove that it actually was. But when Joey confirmed that this indeed had happened, she got really upset and started crying. She told everybody that the party was over and then stormed upstairs, and Joey followed after her. After that, I had nothing to do, so I left as well, and I did not respond to anybody after that. The next morning, my mother called me up and told me that what I did at the party was completely unacceptable and that I needed to apologize to the family. Because my behavior was nothing short of cruel, and even Joey sent me a message, saying that he did not want to speak to me ever again because of what I had done. Because now, Emma was very upset about what happened the previous evening, and I had ruined the first day of the new life. I feel like I am being vilified for standing up for myself, but I also don't know if it was the right move to gatecrash their party anymore. Since I'm getting a lot of hate for this, I thought that I would ask the people of Reddit what they thought about this. So, Ida for gatecrashing my sister-in-law's and my brother's housewarming party to humiliate them? Update 1. Hi, so it has been 2 weeks and nobody from my family has been speaking to me. My parents don't talk to me anymore, neither is my brother, and everybody else has started giving me the cold shoulder as well. But at least you guys don't think that I was wrong for doing what I did. That means a lot. Because I know that you guys are speaking from an objective point of view and are not biased, like my family. I can't believe that I did so many things for so many people in the family, and this is what I get in return. I guess that explains a lot of my brother's behavior. No wonder he's like this, because look at the people around him. Nobody is grateful for things that I have done for them and are trying to make me look like the bad guy, just because I was not willing to take the disrespect anymore. Brilliantly played, I must say that. Emma is getting all the sympathy and she's lapping it all up, that's for sure. There are still a few people who are on my side, thankfully, and they have let me know that Emma is exaggerating the events of that evening to make me look even worse, and is making me out to be some sort of sociopath. I mean, where does it even end? It's just disgusting and pathetic, and I'm glad that I chose not to apologize and cut all ties with them. I am better off without them, and so is my daughter. Update 2. So this is coming after almost a month of being in no contact with my family. My daughter keeps asking me when she's going to meet her uncle and her grandparents, but it's just so sad. I have nothing to say to her. I think she is the only person that I'm getting affected by, because everybody else has been really mature about this whole thing. None of my friends have asked me anything about it, and they are respecting my space. It has been difficult for me to deal with as well, because I was so used to talking to Joey every weekend and hanging out with my parents frequently. But now, that's all gone. They haven't even made an effort to talk to me. It was my daughter's birthday 2 days ago and they didn't even wish her. I know I'm the one who chose to cut them off, but the least that they could have done was wish my daughter a happy birthday. She was very confused as to why it was her birthday, and nobody from her family had even bothered to show up at her party, since it was just a couple of her friends from school and a few of my work associates and friends with their kids who attended the party, but not her uncle, who was always the life of every birthday party that she has had so far. I probably shouldn't care about these things, but they do matter, and I felt really bad. But it's fine, I guess I'll move on from it with time. At least this incident with my family revealed everybody's true colors, and now I know exactly where I stand with them. Update 3. So, it's been almost 2 years since I posted here. I just thought that I would share with you guys the fact that Joey, my brother, recently got in touch with me because Emma is pregnant. It's sweet. I told him that I would try to attend their pregnancy announcement party in a few weeks. We haven't spoken much in the past 2 years, and neither have I been in touch with my family. I have been getting a lot of work, so I'm grateful for that. I had almost moved on from this entire thing, and given up any hope of ever reconciling with them. But what happened back then, it's all water on the bridge now. I guess I might attend the party, just to make peace with my past. I know that my brother and I might never have the same relationship again, but it's worth a try, I guess. And even if something bad happens, at least I'll know that I shouldn't hope for people to change. Anyway, my point is that I might give this a chance. He also mentioned that Emma was the one who thought that it would be a good idea to invite me, so I'm guessing that even they want to make things right with me again.